Guys, what is up? My name is Caleb Cosby, and I'm here doing a Frog Monarch deck profile per request of my friend Jesse Alonso and Team Knife Party. I've always loved this deck so much. I love the archetype of frogs, and I definitely love monarchs. So the whole reason I want to play this deck, I love their artwork, and not just their artwork, but like they can pump out some really crazy combos, even potential OTKs, but we will get into that whenever I start explaining things. I've never actually done a dueling network deck profile for Frog Monarchs, but this is a deck that is very, very near and dear to my heart, and I'm actually really excited and really thankful for Team Knife Party and Jesse Alonso for even giving me this opportunity to do this. So I'm going to show you guys what's up. To start off, we play 3 Swap Frog, and what he does is he basically gets your engine going. He's not the heart and soul of the deck, but he definitely gets the heart pumping. You can discard one water monster to special summon this card from your hand, and when this card is summoned, you can select and send one level 2 or lower Aqua-type monster from your deck to your graveyard. And once per turn, you can return one monster you control to your hand to normal summon one frog monster, except Swap Frog or Frog the Jam, in addition to your normal summon. I'm going to show y'all what Frog the Jam is. Why you would want to additionally normal summon this card is beyond me, but you just can't do it for whatever reason. I guess he's not considered a frog, it's just Frog the Jam. Big nasty sludge ball. But yeah, Swap Frog, get your engine going. He sends Treeborn Frog to the grave. He can actually just send any frog to the grave, or even Ronin Totem, which I'll get to that. But up next we have 3 Treeborn Frog, and he is literally the heart and soul of your deck. Like I said, Swap Frog gets him to the graveyard, and during each of your standby phases, if this card is in your graveyard and you don't control a Treeborn Frog, you can special summon this card, and you must control no spell or trap cards to activate and resolve this effect. As you guys can see, I do not play any traps, so it is not difficult to summon Treeborn Frog. Basically, it's every turn. He makes this deck really, really wonky. I believe Treeborn Frog was at 1 on the ban list for a long time, just because he was so good. He's a +1 every turn. Love this card. You need him for basically like your infinite tribute fodder throughout the duels. Bad things happen to Treeborn Frog sometimes, so that's why I'm choosing to play 3 rather than just 2 or even 1 that I've seen people doing. Like I don't see that being profitable. But anyways, we're playing 3. Up next, we play 2 Dupe Frog. Dupe Frog has been a card that I've always gone back and forth with, even like just trying to figure out if he's too slow or not. And normally he is too slow, but right now it's not difficult to pump out big ass monsters that just want to run over your shit and try to kill you. So Dupe Frog's got a 2k booty, and whenever he is face up on the field, your opponent cannot select another monster as an attack target, so that's pretty cool. And when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 frog monster from your deck to your hand or graveyard to your hand, except for Dupe Frog. So he's good for searching out your Swap Frogs, searching out your Treeborn Frogs, or even adding back Swap Frog or something from your graveyard to your hand. He's really good. Yeah, Dupe Frog is Dupe Frog. Love this little fucker. Up next we have Ronin Totem at 2. A lot of people, you will just see a 3, 4, 5, 6 card Frog engine, which has never made sense to me. And now with all the rank 2 utility, like, it's just too good not to be playing Dupe Frog and 2 Ronin Totem, just for more food for Ronin Totem to be able to special summon itself. And his effect is this card's name is treated as Des Frog while face up on the field. That is irrelevant. You can remove from play 1 frog monster in your graveyard except Frog the Jam. Except Frog the Jam to special summon this card from your graveyard, and cannot be used as a synchro material monster, which you never use this monster as a synchro material. You just use it to pump out these really awesome rank 2s, which I cannot wait to get to. But yeah, so we play a 10 card Frog engine. It's the most consistent engine that I've ever played. I've tried playing Duality, I've tried playing Mathematician, but those cards do not have synergy like the frogs do within themselves. So a 10 card Frog engine is where it's at, in my opinion. And up next, we have my favorite card in the deck, and that is Light and Darkness Dragon. Light and Darkness Dragon can be a real motherfucker. He does I'll just read him. He cannot be special summoned, and for good reason. And while this card is face up on the field, this card is also Dark Attribute. Once per chain, during either player's turn, when a spell card, trap card, or monster effect is activated, this card loses exactly 500 attack and defense, and when that activation is negated. And when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster in your graveyard. If possible, destroy all cards you control, and also special summon that monster, if any. So not only is Light and Darkness Dragon tearing your opponent's hands and field and monster effects apart by just negating, he's got 4 negates, and that's really impressive. And then whenever, on top of that, after he's destroyed, he'd let you special summon a monster from your graveyard, which is the absolute tits, nuts, and shenanigans. He basically replaces himself with whatever you want it to be from your graveyard, like even summoning out Swap Frog, just to send another frog even is really good, bouncing him back and then making Herald down here, but we'll get to that. Light and Darkness Dragon is by far the best tribute monster in the deck. He just does so much work. And up next we've got triple Caius the Shadow Monarch. People will always argue that Caius is the best Monarch, and I would have to agree. Being able to banish a card on the field as soon as he is summoned, and if it's a dark monster, inflicting 1,000 points of damage to your opponent is a very solid thing. You can even Caius himself for game sometimes. And Caius is just... he's infinitely better than Ryza right now. Like, field control is not so hot unless you're playing like Phoenix Wingman Blast or something. But Caius literally just removes the problem permanently, and he's Caius. He's Caius. Then up next we have Caius's big fucking brother. This is a new card. I think he came from... it wasn't Cross Souls. It was the set prior to that. But Caius the Mega Monarch. When I saw this card was getting released, I was like, you know what, let's pick back up the frogs. Because I've been trying to play other things like outside of frogs. Although I love this deck, like I definitely understand like when there's a right or wrong time to play the deck. But anyways, let's get on to Mega Caius here. You can tribute summon this card by tributing one tribute summon monster. So you can tribute off Lad or another Caius or even himself. If this card is tribute summon, target one card on the field and banish it, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Then, if it's a dark monster card, banish all cards with that name from the hand, main deck, and extra deck, and graveyard of the player who controlled it. If this card was tribute summoned by tributing a dark monster, add this additional effect. You can target 2 cards instead. That is retardedly good. I don't even know how to explain how good Caius the Mega Monarch can be. Just being able to sack off a single tribute for him, like you don't even need to use Treeborn Frog. The funny thing about Lad over here is that he is also treated as a dark attribute monster, so he allows Caius to banish 2 cards anytime he is tributed because he is considered a dark monster, and you have, as you guys can see, a very large amount of dark fodder, so you're almost always going to be banishing 2 cards off the field. He's just awesome. The deck needed more power like outside of Caius, and Mega Caius just puts in the work. Up next we play our hand traps because we play no traps at all. We play Battle Fader, and when your opponent's monster declares an attack, a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, then end the battle phase. And if this card was special summoned with this effect, banish it when it leaves the field. So, Battle Fader is going to save you from OTKs or even just unwanted attacks to your life points that you're not trying to lose. He's also a dark monster for Caius the Mega Monarch, and possibly the second tribute for Light and Darkness Dragon out of Treeborn Frog, or a special summon Swap Frog, or a Running Totem. Rather than blowing your resources, Battle Fader is a must. Up next, we have Gorz, the Emissary of Darkness. It is still mind-blowing to me that this card was put at 3. It was at 2 last format, and I was playing a Jack Frost, but whenever it went to 3, like, I was like, oh my god, like, who wants to swing into a fucking Gorz? Like, really, though. What he does is when you take damage from a card in your opponent's possession, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you must control no cards to activate and resolve this effect. If special summoned this way, activate the appropriate effect based on the type of damage. So, battle damage, you can special summon 1 Emissary of Darkness token, a fairy type light, level 7, attack and defense is questionable, and its attack and defense are equal to the amount of battle damage that you took. So, if they swing into you with a 2900 monster, you're able to summon Gorz in whatever position you want, and also summon out a token with attack and defense equal to the damage that you took. It's really good, and Gorz's secondary effect, if you take effect damage, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the amount of damage you took. Yeah, that's not really going to happen a lot unless you're playing like Chain Burn or something trolly as fuck, or like Gawk 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 Cowboy, which I rarely see that card anymore. But yeah, Gores at 3 is the nuts. He adds, well, he gives the deck additional field presence, and sometimes it's just really hard to deal with the Gores, and especially the token. So, excuse me, Gores, just sometimes just kicks ass. And up next we have 3 Maxi. There's a lot of special summoning going on this format, and basically all the formats. Like, Maxi is never a bad card, especially in Frog Monarch. You gain hand advantage with this deck, you are not going to lose the game. What he does is during either... I like how I give all my cards a masculine address. They're just like, hey guys, actually he's a big fucking bug lurking in... I'm not even sure if Maxi is just one bug. He's just a bunch of little... lightning bugs. During either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and this turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw 1 card, and you can only use 1 Maxi per turn. So Maxi can either be a 1-for-1, or you're just going to plus off this card. Too good not to play in this deck, and like I said, hand advantage wins you the game. Onto the spells, that's 28 monsters. We play Raigeki, and you all know what Raigeki does. It just clears the board of your opponent's monsters, which is retarded, but it's absolutely necessary, I think, in this meta for just moving monsters off the board. And I know why they put Dark Hole at 2 as well, but Dark Hole is nothing like Raigeki. We play Foolish Burial just to get that Treeborn Frog into the grave, or even like one of your tribute monsters or Ronin Toad, and like I'll show you guys. Our extra deck is busted. And we also, I've been playing Burial from a different dimension for a while. Like, this card is too good not to play. I don't understand why other Frog players don't play this card, but it gives 3 additional summons for your Ronin Totem if you've been banishing frogs. It also revives Treeborn Frog, and you can even do it, oh my god, all the yawns. You can even do it during the standby phase if something has happened to your Treeborn Frog, like a DD Crow, or like Trishula has wreaked havoc on your graveyard, your hand, and your field. You can just recover those monsters, and it's just really, really good. It's a surprise a lot of the time. Like, you're going to be making a lot of rank 2 plays with Ronin Toad, so you want to be able to keep your resources, but hopefully by the time that you've acted Burial from a different dimension, you've won the game. Up next we have Enemy Controller, and most of you all probably know what Enemy Controller does. It's a quick play spell that allows you to tribute one of your monsters to take control of one of your opponent's monsters, and during the end phase you give it back to him, or you can change the battle position of one of your opponent's monsters, which is useful sometimes. But the combo is Treeborn Frog and Enemy Controller during the standby phase. You can summon Treeborn Frog, chain Enemy Controller, tribute off your frog, take one of their monsters, and then resummon Treeborn Frog because it is still during your standby phase and it's quick play. Really good spot removal. Soul Exchange is also really good, and we play Enemy Controller at 3, by the way, but you guys can see that. We play Soul Exchange at 3 as well, and what it does is you target one monster your opponent controls. In this turn, if you tribute a monster, you must tribute that monster as if you controlled it. And my god, all the fucking yawns. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. So, Soul Exchange, Enemy Controller actually have a really cool combo, a really good combo together. Some of you all may realize this, or if you've ever played in a format where, like, Formula Monarchs was a thing, like Soul Exchange and Enemy Controller, you can activate Soul Exchange on one of their monsters, and then activate Enemy Controller and tribute off that monster to take control of another one of their monsters. So they work in tandem really well. You can clear two monsters off the field, essentially, if you're going to sack the one that you took with Enemy Controller, because you have tributed off their monster in exchange for Enemy Controller, which is just really good. Really, really good. That has definitely won me a couple games. And then we have the Monarch's Stormforth at 3. This card is just insanely good. Once during this turn, if you attribute a monster, for a tribute summon, you can tribute one monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it. You can only activate one the Monarch Stormforth per turn for good reason, and during the turn you activate this card, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. Basically, it is a quick play Soul Exchange that does not target, so even if the number of monsters on your opponent's side of the field changes after you activate this card, you can still tribute off one of the monsters that was newly summoned. So, Stormforth is a must. It's another good spot removal card. So basically we have 9 cards that are spot removal for your 9 tributes, which is insanely good, insanely consistent. You gotta play 3 of that card. I love it. People have talked about playing like Duality and like Mathematician, like I said, but I really don't feel like the deck needs it. Like, it's got all the support it needs for this current time. So that's it for the spells. 12 spells, 28 monsters, total of 40 cards. Then onto the side deck. The side deck is what I would take to like a premier event, like a YCS or a regional. But we play Puppet Plant. We want to take all those Necro monsters. Also, Puppet Plant doesn't target, I believe. It says then target one warrior, spellcaster, type monster your opponent controls, but it doesn't target because it doesn't specify like which one it is at that time. I'm pretty sure. That's how Puppet Plant works. But if not, you still can just take like one of those pesky Satellar Knight warriors, or you can take any of the Necros monsters, sack them off or whatever if you're under Jin luck. It's just really good. It's basically like another Soul Exchange or Enemy Controller Stormforth. Really good. Love this card. Up next, we play 3 Fire Hand and 3 Ice Hand, and whenever Fire Hand is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster that they control and destroy that target, and then you summon an Ice Hand, and Ice Hand works the same way as Fire Hand, except with spell and traps. Whenever it gets destroyed, it pops one of those and then summons a Fire Hand. They're not once per turn, which makes them absolutely busted. You can literally tear somebody's field apart with these hands. They never know if they're actually set, or sometimes you can just straight up summon them. Ice Hand is also a pitch for Swap Frog to special summon him, which if you need to do that to like drop Lad or something, it's really good. And Lad also makes these hands really good. Like just being able to recycle them back to the field after he dies is retardedly good, because then you also get to pop one of their monsters and then summon a hand if you've got one in your deck. So these two cards are just really good, especially against things like Satellar Knights that play a bunch of back row, or anything else that's like back row heavy. Like you can literally just tear their monsters and their field to pieces. Up next, we play 3 of Jay-Z, and normally we are playing Majesty's Fiend alongside of Jay-Z, our Vanity's Fiend. But right now, I just don't think this card is very good. Like, it'd be better if it prevented like special summons from like El Shaddai Fusion, or like a Necro's Kaleidoscope or Mirror, or whatever the fuck it is that they're doing. Majesty's Fiend is good for stopping their effects, but it literally, if they open with one of the spell cards and appropriate monsters, Majesty's Fiend just kind of sits there and dies. And on the other hand, Vanity's Fiend just says that they cannot special summon monsters, period. Neither player can, so he just literally sits there pretty. They have to kill it because they can't special summon, and that's so vital in Necros. It's so vital in a lot of decks that like don't play any back row to like defend themselves, and Vanity's Fiend can literally just shit on them. So yeah, play him at 3. Majesty's Fiend might come back at another time, but right now I just feel like the hands are infinitely better, and so are the Puppet Plants. And then we play 3 MST for specific spot removal, maybe like an Emptiness, but this deck really doesn't lose to Emptiness as hard as everybody thinks, like, because we've got the Econs and Soul Exchanges and Stormforce, so it's just they just get fucked by those cards. And then on to my new favorite part of this deck, the extra deck. I've been waiting for these cards to like come out and give these frogs the support they needed indirectly, and like they're so good. First off, we play Slacker Magician. I think that's a staple in any Frog Monarch deck. Just being able to summon this thing, it can't be destroyed by battle once per turn, and when it gets targeted by a card effect, you can detach material and negate the activation of that effect and destroy the card that targeted it. So it's really good. Up next, we play Ghost Trick Dullahan, and he is essentially a Gale, a 1200 Gale, and he can activate during the damage step, which is actually really good. You target one face-up monster, and it halves its attack until the end phase of the turn. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Ghost Trick card in your graveyard and add that target to the hand, so it can recycle your Ghost Trick So Cute boss. And what she does, she takes 2 level 2 monsters, so Ronin Totem and any combination of Swap Frog, or even 2 Ronin Totems, you can make this card. And while you control another Ghost Trick monster, your opponent cannot target this card for attacks, which is decent. And once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, and then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to the combined attack of all Ghost Trick monsters on the field, and destroy it. And if you do, that monster zone cannot be used as long as you control a Ghost Trick monster. So it is a field blocker and a field monster, and in combination with Ghost Trick Dullahan, you can pop 2,800 monsters because Dullahan gains 200 attack for each Ghost Trick monster you control, including himself. So when those two are out on the field, you've got a combination of 2,800, which is really good, which can basically pop everything except for Valkyrius. Or I don't even know what else that people play that's bigger than that. Then we play Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. This is a new card, I think, out of the most recent set. You basically, what you want to do with this card is overlay it over top of one of your Ghost Trick monsters just to put a 2,500 body on board. Outside of that, she does nothing for the deck. Up next, we play number 39, Utopia Roots, and people are going to look at me like I'm crazy because this monster seems so terrible, but he is basically like a Utopia, a rank 1 Utopia, and you can detach material to negate the attack that is occurring. And if you negate an Exceeds monster's attack, this card gains attack equal to the monster's rank times 500, which is okay, I guess, but that's not why we play him. We play him for this badass motherfucker, and he is number S39 Utopia Prime, and you can Exceed summon him by using a number 39, which is our Utopia Roots. Just put him over top of that son of a bitch, and he's a 2510 monster. And his effect, I've never actually tried to resolve this effect. It's really risky business. But if your opponent's life points is at least 3,000 higher than yours, you can detach 3 Exceeds materials from this card and pay life points so that you only have 10 left. Destroy as many special summon monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, banish them, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed and banished by this effect. So I guess it could be useful if you're trying to go for games, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Let's say they have 5 monsters on board, that's 1,500, and then 2510 is 310, which is just, I mean, it's really good. It's just a really cool card, or a 2510 beater. And then we've got Herald of Pure Light, the MVP of the extra deck. What this card does is it takes 2 level 2 monsters, again, any combination of the frogs outside of Treeborn Frog, and you can detach 1 Exceeds material from this card, then target 1 monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, then shuffle 1 card from your hand in the deck, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So, as I'm sure you guys have realized, this is your Monarch and Lad Recycler, even for like Maxis or Gores or whatever else you need to recycle back to your hand. It's just really good. Being able to, like, drop another Lad after it has died is just insane. Like, your opponent only has so many resources for Lad, and typically they're blown like 2 or 3 to get over him. And then he's going to summon out that Swap Frog. Swap Frog can send another frog, and then you can literally just make Herald and then have your Lad back. Like, Mind Crush is a thing, but who the fuck cares when you're just dropping Lad on people? So yeah, 3 Herald of Pure Light. I don't know why you would play less than that unless you were playing a smaller Frog engine, which I think is inferior, only because of the power of this rank 2 engine. Then we play Gachi Gachi, the first Xyz. He's alright for defensive purposes, or even giving Lad like that 400 boost to make Lad be able to negate 5 things instead. He can't, whenever he's going to be destroyed, you can detach material instead, so he's pretty cool just sticking around on the field if you need to just a chum wall for a little bit. That's cool. Up next we have Cat Shark, which takes 2 level 2 monsters, and while this card has an Exceeds material attached to it that was originally water, which it will be, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per turn during either player's turn you can detach 1 Exceeds material from this card, then target 1 rank 4 lower Exceeds monster you control, and its attack and defense become double its original attack and defense until the end of the turn. Cat Shark helps create your OTKs. I'm going to call this little guy Carl the cat. Yeah, he helps create your OTKs with Digestive Phoenix, which, as I'm sure you guys know, you detach material, target 1 face-up wind monster himself, and it can attack twice. So if you've got the Cat Shark and any combination of Digestive Phoenix and a Monarch, you can OTK them, which it's really not difficult to do with a 10-card Frog engine, and then all of your tributes are really easy to summon. You just literally annihilate somebody like that. I've OTK'd multiple people and they're just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? I got killed by frogs. Yeah, So you gotta play a Cat Shark and 2 Digusted Phoenixes just in case anything happens to the first one. And then we've got Sky Cavalry Centauria. This card cannot be destroyed by battle while it has Xyz materials. At the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and return your opponent's monster from the field to the hand. So he moves problematic cards like from the extra deck back into their extra deck, or even problematic monsters off the field, and he can't be destroyed by battle, and he's got 2k attack, which I think is really decent, and he could potentially have 4k attack with Cat Shark. Play one of him. And then we've got good old Downland Magician. I remember when this card was released too, we were talking about playing like Deck Devastation Virus and Eradicator Epidemic Virus for the format. I can't really remember what was going on. But Downland Magician is a champ. During your main phase 2, you can also Xyz summon this card by using a rank 3 or lower Xyz monster you control as the Xyz material, and Xyz materials attached to that monster also become Xyz materials attached to this card, much like Utopia Prime. And this card gains 200 attack for each material attached to it, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, you inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And if this card was attacked or attacked after damage calculation, you detach 1 Xyz material from this card. So Downard's really good for overlaying literally over top of your other 14 Xyz monsters in the deck, and she's potentially like 2500, which I think is decent, and she does piercing damage. But yeah, guys, I really love this deck. I wish this card could be played, honestly. But yeah, this deck is powerful. Hopefully I was clear in explaining how everything works. Like, the combinations really are endless. Like, the plays are endless. And honestly, like, if your opponent doesn't know how to play against this deck, you have a very high chance of winning, just because you're able to pick fields apart so easily just with like 1 or 2 cards. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Team Knife Party's channel. And again, thank you, Jesse Alonso, for inviting me to do this with y'all. And until next time, I'll see ya later.